to turn on YouTube. Saying excellent connection. Bloody hell. Alrighty. I've pressed going live. We'll wait for the YouTube community to let us know if we are live. Let's have a bit of a play around.
All right.
The world knows I am technically challenged. Let's have a look. I'm getting notifications saying that we are live. Everyone seems to be up and about. Can everyone hear us out there, you big legends? How are we all going? Is my audio good? I think everyone is up and about. People are saying, there they are. And here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ready Bang! The #1 arm wrestling live stream in the world. I'm your host, the Aussie Arm Wrestler. And of course I am your Melbourne Cup 2019 left arm 80 to 95 kilo third place amateur. In fact, this is probably the only award my guest has never won. So John, if you ever want a cup of coffee in the big time.
That was a handful. I couldn't hardly keep track of all that. There's a lot going on there.
It is the most sought after trophy in arm wrestling world. But guys, have a look at this. No, we haven't entered another matrix. You are seeing the Aussie Arm Wrestler with this guest here. You mentioned Jordan, Gretzky, Brady, Brzenk. That is the only way you can introduce this man. He's a hoarder. This guy's a hoarder. He's collected more world champions, international champions, local champions, national champions, TV championships. He has collected them all. He's a movie star. He is basically a magician because he can turn millimeters into magic on an arm wrestling table. Movie star. His comeback tour is much better than the Beatles. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records. And of course, he's Bill's brother. We are talking about the greatest arm wrestler of all time, John Brzenk. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Aussie Arm Wrestler. Jake, what do I call you?
You can call me whatever you like. You can say Jake, you can say Aussie, you can say Aussie, you on the other side.
Thanks for the massive introduction. Glad to be here. Glad to be with the Australians. Yeah.
No, we
super excited.
Love it.
I've watched a few of your shows. They're quite entertaining.
Are we still going? It's getting you're not going to believe it. We're getting a huge bloody lag.
It's this Australian bandwidth.
That's
not as great as it.
Are we back on, guys? No, it can. Why is it lagging? Why is it lagging? No, everything seems to be fine. Connection seems to be fine. Can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me? I think we're a bit better now. Are we back? I think it looks a bit better.
All right, let's go with it.
Much better. Here we go. Beautiful. Anyway, I'm having a beer. Christmas has come early. Sorry about the lag. It's a special Snow Globe White Christmas Ale. Whenever you have the greatest of all time, John Brzenk, you have a beer with the great man. But first of all, what I want to ask, you get introduced as the GOAT. You're in the Guinness World Record as the GOAT. How does that feel when you are actually mentioned? And it's basically unanimously agreed throughout the arm wrestling community. What's that like?
Wow, it's a lot to live up to. I mean, I wish it wasn't there. I wish people wouldn't keep repeating that because it does make me laugh a little bit and makes me feel old and definitely puts a lot more unneeded pressure on me. So, but I appreciate it. It's it's amazing how how the years have flown by. And I used to consider myself the young buck, the young kid, the young guy. Now I'm the old guy. So
I don't know if you're the old guy, but there's nothing wrong with being called the GOAT. Have you ever tried to use that terminology to get you out of something? So, like, if your lovely wife touched you on
Well,
the shoulder...
I need to cut in line. Like, excuse me, I'm the goat. You know, you should move aside.
That's right, anything.
Yeah.
If your lovely wife yells out, John, can you put the rubbish out? You got to put the bins out tonight. Can you just turn around and go, love?
I'm the goat.
I'm
right.
the goat. That doesn't happen. Have you got out any speeding tickets or anything from it?
No. I've gotten a few senior citizen discounts, but I haven't really had to use the goat term yet. I haven't had to pull it out.
Oh, that's the best. Oh, that would be yeah. How good's that? The greatest arm wrestler of all time turns up and uses a senior citizen card. Now, we'll probably go all over the shop with the way things are going, and thank you as everyone's slowly coming in and joining. First of all, you are on a trading card. How good
that
is that?
me.
How does something like that come about to get yourself on a trading card?
Is there a date on that? I think that was about 15 years ago. That group approached me to do that and signed I think 300 cards, 500 cards I think are in circulation. But yeah, quite the exciting honor to be have a trading card. I don't think there's many of them. I think there's me and I think Alan Fisher. I think there's not too many arm wrestling cards to trade.
They're the only two I've got, especially from these guys here. This was 2013 Goodwin champions. I mean, we all dream about being on a trading card, but you can actually say that it's happened. I've got my hands on one of them. Not signed yet, so I might have to check that in the mail.
Well, you've got one of the knockoffs. You don't have the real one.
No, I don't, but that's okay. It's pretty good. Just quickly, Tim Pipe says, absolute legends on the big screen. How did Stallone feel on the table during productions of Over the Top? Tim Pipe, we will get to that in probably right now, because that is one thing when I first saw you. It was Over the Top. Even though you didn't get a speaking role, we'll get that to the moment. Just explain to people the difference. So on the screen with the movie, the tournament looks immaculate. The tournament was fantastic. You hear all the stories. But from what I've heard, it went forever. The actual over-the-top tournament, because of filming the movie and the actual tournament, went forever. Right.
Well, they tried to incorporate a lot of the filming for the movie with the live audience and real arm wrestlers. So you can imagine how that went. It was just, I mean, it's difficult enough to run a tournament, even with as many tables as they had when there's 500-600 entries, and then try to incorporate getting camera shots and getting everybody to be here and be there and the audience to cooperate. And they must have broke for the movie, 4 or 5 different times throughout the day. So yeah, I think the tournament officially started on Saturday afternoon, and I think my match was the last match, and I think it was Sunday morning around 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning that the tournament officially ended. But
what was the atmosphere like? Because you're on a movie set, you've been arm wrestling for a little bit. Then you're on top of your game. What was the atmosphere like? The buzz in the room, because you've got Rambo. You've got Rambo wanting to make a movie about arm wrestling. This is your sport, your way to go. Was there a good feeling throughout the whole tournament? Were you over it by the end of the tournament?
Well, it was draining for sure. I mean, and the problem was you just didn't know when they were going to stop shooting and then when they would start calling out matches again. So you never really had a chance to go to your room and take a cat nap or anything. You were just on edge the whole time. So but it was super exciting at first. The beginning part of it was great. I mean, the audience was huge. Everybody had tons of energy, but 8, 9, 10, 12, 14 hours later, things start to dwindle. Only the hardcore arm wrestlers are left, in the bleachers, sleeping if they could and doing what they could to stay awake. But I mean, it's still probably to date, it's probably one of the biggest gatherings of, I don't know how many countries they had, maybe a dozen countries, 10, 12 countries. And the coordination and the amount of tables they had and the lighting and the camera and just that whole setup was hasn't really been duplicated to date. I mean, it's still one of the biggest tournaments in my memory.
Oh, we're going to have a crack. Hopefully in April next year, we're doing the whole set design. here in Australia. We're going to run an over-the-top down under to ensure, hopefully, we can set the mood and make it like I know they're working behind to make the replica tables, the big old donut pads and things like that. A bit more on over the top. Just quickly, Adam has jumped in and he says, John, go down under and get that third place left-handed Melbourne trophy for this bloke. Everyone is coming after my trophy, John. I can tell you. That's
something I could probably do. My left's not that good, but third place is something that I could probably set my sights on.
Have you ever come third place?
Ooh, left-handed, yes. I've actually dropped out of tournaments because of my left arm just basically giving out. But yeah, no, my left's never been that good. It's from lack of pulling when I was a kid. Right-handed was kind of the thing to do when I was growing up, so it got all the attention, and I didn't really start pulling with the left until I was probably in my late 20s, 30s, and it just never would cooperate.
Mate, left arm where it's at. It's got, hey John, have you, from White Wolf, hey John, have you ever had any Fosters? What about you, Aussie? Do they even have Fosters down under? Best oil can beer ever. We don't drink it here. It tastes like cat's piss. Have you ever had a Fosters?
I don't think I ever have. If I did, it was when I was a kid, just to test it out. But yeah, no, that was the hardcore drink, right? Because it was such a big volume, large can.
Now going back to over the top, mate. It's everywhere. If you are born in the 80s, if you're in your mid 30s like myself, Over the Top is the movie. And a few things I want to ask. One, are you angry at Cleve Dean because he got a speaking role and you didn't?
Did he have a speaking role? I don't even know if Cleve actually...
He screams at the camera and goes, "No way!"
Oh, that's a good speaking role, yeah. No, I mean, initially I think he was slated to be kind of the Bull Hurley, the Rick Zummel of the movie, and that kind of got shelved just because he was just too unbelievable. He was just too massive. But Rick Zummel wasn't no small guy either. I mean, he was 330, 40 pounds plus. But yeah, no, I don't know. Back then, I didn't really care to be in the spotlight, or I still am. It's the same way. And my focus was just to win the damn tournament. I mean, if I would have had to go there and do the stuff that Rick had to do, or anybody that was really involved with the movie had to do, there weeks ahead of time, or even just spending the a couple days before, I would have been completely exhausted to actually attempt to actually win the damn thing. But
so you don't mind that your name wasn't in the end credits? You got an uncredited role?
Yeah,
it's the biggest crime in arm wrestling history that your name isn't on the credits.
Yeah, and to be truthful, I never really spent any time really with Stallone talking about technique or thoughts about what should happen during the match. He already had a bunch of people in his ear for that, so I was still kind of a newbie. I mean, I was an up and comer, but I really wasn't established as anybody that really was anything special in the sport of arm wrestling in 1986. So
1986, you were like 4 years in a sport, already a champion. You just knocked everyone
just a couple
off over the top. Come on, John.
Yeah, no, I was really only just a couple years maybe of actually doing well, and it was always just my class. It really wasn't against the super heavyweights. It wasn't until years after that I established myself to pull some of the bigger guys.
So when did that trajectory happen? So you're knocking off, you're young, you're lean, you're feeling good, and you're in a stage now. You're in the Brzenk zone. No one's ever reached that before. You're in the Brzenk zone, and you are pinning everyone. When was it that you just went, right, give me the biggest guy in the room, and I'll have him?
Well, I think it just began with me being greedy. I'd start going to some of these smaller tournaments, and they give out $300, $400, $500 for first place in the lightweight class, the middleweight class, heavyweight class, super heavyweight class. So it got to the point where I was like, all right, well, I can quadruple my earnings if I just start pulling all the classes. And I just started experimenting with that, and then started becoming successful with it. And then it just built from there. Once you start pulling those guys and and realizing and developing the confidence that, hey, they're not any much stronger than the guys in my own weight class. That's where it all begins.
Unbelievable. Thank you, Was Crash, for your little sticker. He's got a guy in a pink hair just flexing his muscles. Mate, this whole over-the-top experience, so he ended up winning like the big, massive truck. Now,
right.
is it true you didn't get it for like a year after
It's
the movie?
absolutely true. Yeah.
That's like winning the lottery, and then they're like, cool, we're just going to give you your money in 12 to 14 months' time.
Yeah. But I didn't really have any place to park it, or I think, living in an apartment at the time. And so I was in no hurry to get it. It just, as long as they, would eventually finally give it to me, I wasn't really pressing them for it. And as I understand it, they were using it for some type of promotion, in conjunction with the movie, with kids and reading and books and stuff like that. So, it wasn't a big deal to me.
Whereabouts is the truck now?
I have no idea. I think it's still somebody. I think it was kind of hanging around the East Coast, down south in the Florida area, from what I understand. But I think somebody just recently told me that they saw it for sale. So I think it's still on the road, or it's still in working condition, at least somewhere. They had two trucks, and Stallone evidently had some problem. I don't know the details, but I heard it was some type of a electrical fire, and it basically burnt to the ground. So it's unique in being the only one.
Well, one of your mates has just jumped in the chat. Sap the Bee says, "Hey
Sap
John,
the Bee.
Hey Aussie, best interview so far," because he was certainly sticking up for you in Neil's live stream the other day, which was highly enjoyable, and we'll get to a bit later. I think just for me at the moment, I'm in like super fan mode, because I was 7 years old when I first watched Over the Top, and just always finding out little tidbits. Cobra Rhodes was the ref, Cleve Dean was in it, Scott Norton was in it, Alan Fisher. You see them on the movie and things like that. When you go back and watch it, like over the years, and you've watched it, do you cringe at the way Sylvester Stallone pulls in that movie?
No, his technique was pretty refined. I mean, I don't know how many takes it took to get that, but the final result looked pretty realistic. And Stallone was actually a believable arm wrestler. He was somewhat built, and I think he would have probably done quite well in the sport if he would have pursued it, which makes absolutely no sense in his position to pursue arm wrestling.
Rambo gives it up to become an arm wrestler.
He was the size, and I always say the hand and the palm width is so important in the sport of arm wrestling. If you look at Stallone's hand, he's got a wide palm, kind of a short forearm, but muscular. So I mean, if the quick twitch muscles were there, and he had decent tendons, he definitely could have been an arm wrestler. And just looking at him, even though he was smaller, to me, he was a believable arm wrestler.
Yeah. Well, besides winning the whole thing, what was one of like the main highlights, the main tidbits about the whole Over the Top experience? What was one of the main things in there that was like very fun?
It began months before that final tournament in Las Vegas. I mean, they went on tour to all these different countries to try to introduce and promote the sport of arm wrestling to several nations, and I got the opportunity to be involved with a lot of that stuff. And so yeah, there was a lot of fun stuff behind the scenes that was happening months before that final tournament. That was very memorable.
It was unbelievable. The movie was great, and the fact you beat everyone, smashed everyone, which is very common to your whole arm wrestling career. Turn up, take the money, pin everyone. That needs to be the new John Brzenk shirt for sure. What have we got here? We've got White Wolf has jumped in again. Thank you, White Wolf. He goes, Okay, John. I know you're holding out on the microwave, trying to get the price up on it. What's the bid at right now? I'm thinking around $250 US.
I think it's already spoken for. Somebody mentioned or asked me, and I think I've already got a place for it. I don't know. I can't imagine, sending it via mail to anybody. So I'm going to take it down. I'm going to put a new one up just so we can stop talking about it. And I'll probably throw it in my garage. And the first person that comes to visit me, I think, is probably going to get first dibs on it.
Oh, beautiful!
I tried to sell it 5-6 years ago on Facebook Marketplace. I couldn't get anybody to even take it away for $50. So
I would have been sucked in. I would have been like, yeah, of course, John. There you go. There's 50.
Now it's become a famous microwave. Yeah, it's worth millions.
Oh, mate, it's amazing what the YouTube world can do. I mean, they've turned me into someone that they think actually knows arm wrestling. I just sometimes sit in my kitchen and now I'm talking to the greatest arm wrestler of all time. So these guys can make anything famous. Your microwave, right. Bang, we are up and about, that's for sure. Pubniful says, John, you're looking good. When are you flying to Dubai? I totally started believing that you got this in Dubai. When do you go?
Leaving tomorrow on JetBlue at 1. I think the flight's at 1:05, 1:15, 1 in the afternoon from Phoenix to Boston, and then Boston direct to Dubai.
How long's the flight?
It's 5 hours, 5 hours and some change to Boston, and I have a 2-hour layover in Boston, and then it's a 13-hour going. I think going it's 13 hours. Coming back, it's 15 hours. So it's going to be about a 20-hour all said and done.
Going to be on the same flight as Devin?
Start to end. I don't think so, but I don't know that for sure. It might well be. I don't know when he's leaving, and if he's going into Boston, that might be a possibility.
Going backwards, that'd be hilarious if you two were plonked.
Yeah, we could have a useful 13 hours of conversation and YouTube videos, tons of content, right?
Stop it, John! Stop it! That would be amazing. You two on the flight, just going at it, and wrestling over peanuts or something like that. Who can drink the drink or eat the dinner? Who got the better dinner? The quality of that would be unreal. Speaking of unreal, you're a movie star. You are a movie star. You had that fantastic documentary made about you pulling John. Now, for a man that's not big, you couldn't use the word introvert. You keep to yourself. You go about your business. You're very happy, very content with what's going on, and then a big camera crew is now everywhere, asking you questions, probably when you don't want questions asked, but just in your face. Yeah. What was all that like?
Well, for one, it wasn't a big camera crew, and secondly, it took a lot for them to sell me on the idea. It was basically a couple that were just young movie makers. No real backing, just decided to make their second small movie on the sport of arm wrestling. Just kind of, you could look at it two ways: right timing, wrong timing. I was one step out the door. I was kind of done with the sport. I had done what I wanted to do, and I had some elbow issues that were just nagging and chronic and were just not going away. And they gave me a call and gave me their ideas, and I went, okay. Yeah. But they were good. They were persistent, and they stuck with it, and they got me excited and motivated to start participating again in the sport. And so if nothing more than that, I have to really thank them for being there when they were to get me to continue with the sport. Because if it wasn't for the Pulling John crew, if it wasn't for Savannah and Bessie, I probably would have retired in the early 2000s. So my career wouldn't nearly be as long as it's been.
Well, yeah, because when I watched it for the first time, thoroughly enjoying it, but then like out of nowhere they were following you, and I think it was like before or after you're pulling with your dad or something, and then you just turn around and you're like, yeah, I'm thinking of giving it up. Yeah, I think I'm ready to go. And I was like, but then is this the Spielberg plot twist? What is going on here?
Yeah, the truth of the matter was I was done and out of the sport basically when they came around, and they eventually got me pushed in the right direction. No, you're not done. You're not done. You got to continue. There's one more tournament yet to do. There's this, there's that. So, yeah.
Oh, that's
it's part of the movie making. It's kind of a twist timeline a little bit.
Mate, they got me hook, line, and sinker. I was watching it, and then I was slowly leaning towards Travis Bagent. You know, he's a character like myself. And then suddenly you were like, yeah, I think I'm giving up. And I was like, whoa! But hang on here, pump the brakes. This can't be right. And tell you what, the arm wrestling world are very grateful that if the crew were influencing you to keep on going, because it's just everything about it has just been brilliant. Speaking of brilliant, he's my friend, he's your friend. Ryan Bowen has just jumped in.
All right.
And he
haven't
says,
seen Ryan in a
John,
while.
I hate your guts. No, he doesn't really. But he goes, two of my favourites. Can't wait for December 11th. I believe, John. I believe. Now, we'll briefly touch about that, because for me, and I'll intertwine with something a little bit later on, but for me, I love that you and Ryan have a killer relationship. And a part of me loves it because the arm wrestling world, the majority, hate Ryan Bowen. They can't stand him. They make videos about him being delusional. And everyone knows, I have a great relationship with Ryan. I hosted his, I was the MC at his wedding. We speak all the time. So then when you were coming back even just into the YouTube world, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to team up with you, Ryan, I was like, gold.
Well, he's the one that initially introduced me to the YouTube thing. And it took me, well, up until now, it's almost 3 years since I first met Ryan to actually move and do anything about it. I was happy to assist and help and give him some credibility in the arm wrestling world in the early years to do, the little chats that we had done and the talks and stuff. And, but then he was able to basically stand on his own. I mean, he's definitely smart, articulate, and knowledgeable, and has got plenty of drive, and has proven himself. So he can obviously easily stand on his own now. Doesn't need any of my help.
Oh no,
but
I mean, of course, especially back when Ryan first got you on the channel and on his show, and that really catapulted him to the next stratosphere. But even when you decided to come back, earlier this year, and I was just like, John's coming back to YouTube, and he's doing it with Ryan. He's jumping on Ryan's show for a little bit, and I was just like, I was getting the popcorn out, and I was just like, the haters would just be melting right now. And we'll jump ahead. I was going to talk about it a bit later on, but we'll jump ahead. You are in the YouTube world now. I mean, it's fantastic. For a lot of fans, we get a bit more personality, get to know a bit more about you. We get to see, your thoughts and bits and pieces. And especially for someone, like we've mentioned a few times, that, you like to keep to yourself. You're just happy doing your own thing. So the fact that you're now sticking a camera in front of your face is gold. So first of all, what got you over the line? What made you decide, you know what, I'm back?
Well, I wouldn't say it like that, like I'm back. What made me to decide to turn an iPhone on and point it at my face and try to actually make the damn thing work? And I don't know. It actually was another guy that came to our practice that was touting about YouTube and how silly I was that I didn't have a YouTube and I needed to get a YouTube. And I throughout the practice, I think I heard the term YouTube a dozen times. So I was like, okay, God damn it, I'm gonna make a solid effort to try to. And I think Ryan is the one that put the YouTube app on my phone, the studio, and then some other app, and tried to teach me how to do it, but it was 2.5, 3 years ago. So I had really no idea. So I kind of had to fumble through it and give him a few phone calls. Okay, how do I log into the damn thing? I couldn't even remember my password. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I'm an introvert. I'm very uncomfortable speaking. and this is really out of my element to be doing any of the stuff that I've been doing. So it's, but I decided, what the hell? Gotta try to conquer your fears at some point and just do it and just see where it goes.
You are conquering it.
I'm starting to regress already. Like, okay, this isn't for me. But we're gonna try to make another surge at it, and we'll see how Dubai goes. And I'm gonna bring a charged iPod little iPod gimbal iPod this time, and actually, converse with some people that are better at it than I am and experts, and maybe we'll take it from there and get it to another level.
You are sitting on a fat pile of cash when it comes to YouTube, and I think that's why a lot of us were so eager to get you on YouTube. I know when Ryan was mentioning it to me, I was very eager for you to jump on YouTube because when you, and I'll go through some of your titles in a moment, but everything that you've been through, I think it's great that the community are now giving back to everything that you've given to the sport. Because sometimes when I watch your lives and people are just throwing their wallets, almost knocking you out sometimes.
Very generous,
yeah.
Yes.
It's amazing.
It's amazing to me.
The
It's like,
community
guys
are the best when it comes to that. I get sport myself, and I've only won a third place left arm amateur trophy. So it's you've done everything. So I think it's great. Sticking with the YouTube, because your channel's going great. In fact, everyone watching, I'm sure, is subscribed, but if you're not, get amongst it. How are you dealing with the YouTube fans? Because when you were off winning everything, there wasn't backlash or praise. It was just like, cool, it might be on, Wide World of Sports, a little thing. Oh, John Brzenk does it again, rah, rah. But now, like you experienced with the last time you're on Neil's show, just how sometimes people in the comments can get quite aggressive and really just try and attack everything, and they go for the jugular every time.
Yeah, I don't take it personal. I understand where they're coming from. I understand their perspective, and it's all in good sporting fun. I mean, you're going to have that conflict if you go to watch in any sport. You're going to have two sides, the field, right? So I enjoy it and just accept it with a smile.
Because I was very interested in it, because you just come into YouTube and then you're suddenly like, all these people, whether they're on Team John or they're not on Team John, or they're Team Devin or not Team Devin, or what, Europeans versus Americans. I just thought, a part of me was almost thinking, guys, you got to get John off YouTube. Like, he's just going to go, you know what, I've got better things to do than listen to this crap. So it was, so it was interesting to get your take on it. And I think, mate, the content you could create is endless. If you ever are struggling for any ideas, just send me a message, mate. I've got about 50 ideas already.
Well, the problem is I'm just, I guess, maybe a little too critical of myself and I want to do stuff that I would consider to be fun and entertaining, and my capabilities right now aren't at that level. So I tell myself, why would you put that out? That's so silly or stupid. So that's kind of what's holding me back now. It's not that I can't do it. It's just, I just feel like, it's not really that good a content or good a quality to be messing with, but we'll see. I'll try to keep with it and then maybe progress to having some editing skills and
chuck anything on, chuck everything on, John. We will all watch, so you don't have to worry about it.
That's what they say.
But you don't worry about being critical of yourself. Let the YouTube world tell you what they do and don't want, because you can put out a video and they'll be brutally honest. Don't worry about that. We got White Wolf in the chat again. He goes, so when you slam Devin in the first round and win the shutout stakes, would you lay down and then retire? Devin would literally go insane.
Would I lay down? Oh, if I win the first match, then just lay down the next 5 matches. Oh, I mentioned that I think 3 or 4 shows ago. I think I mentioned that I would do that just to really upset him. No, I would never do that. But I don't know what it would take from him to get me that upset to pull something so so bad as that.
Very, very odd. Asking if the greatest arm wrestler of all time on his comeback tour would then lay down for a match. Very, very odd question.
I'll have to talk to my manager. Maybe it would be smart to do that. I'd just say, hey, Devin, it's going to cost you a lot more now to get that rematch.
But speaking of championships, mate, let's go through them. Yukon Jack, Zloty, Golden Bear, Petaluma, WPAA Worlds, WAL, WAF, AWI, Mohegan Sun, and of course my favourite, Shirkston Beach International. You've won anything and everything. Are there any that stand out? Well, let's go to your very first one. What was that like, winning your first World Championship?
My first World Championship probably wasn't a huge deal. Because every organization would have their quote unquote world championship. So a world championship that I can remember in the early years, I didn't really participate in the WAF because there just wasn't any money. Even in the early years, I was always about going to money tournaments, and so I mean, the first few, what they would call their world championships, when someone was classified as their world championships, it just meant it was their biggest, that promoter's biggest arm wrestling tournament of the year. And you got to remember, we're talking almost 40 years ago. So it's not as big as it is now. And every promoter had their world championship.
Had their world.
And it really was just, and in fact, I think that my first world championship was a tournament in Canada. So it was just the United States and Canada that really participated back then in the sport of arm wrestling. The rest of the world didn't know arm wrestling existed until, over the top in the mid 80s. So,
now going back to that, we'll come back to your world championships and all your titles. That was one thing I wanted to ask. Were you happy, annoyed, disappointed with, so Over the Top was made, and then I don't know if arm wrestling really hit a peak, a massive growth. You got Rambo and Rocky starring in an arm wrestling world. Because, like, the numbers when Rocky was made, when in 1978 or something, and then the numbers from there where people started joining boxing gyms and things like that skyrocketed after the first Rocky. So right. You would think with the magic of Sly, he makes a movie in 1986 about arm wrestling. He's already 2... maybe 3 Rockies in. Like, I think he's already knocked out Mr. T. So, were you annoyed? Because from what I've read and everything, it just didn't really project the way we wanted it to go.
The expectations were super, super high, of course, because of this, worldwide movie. And it just kind of fizzled. But looking back, in my perspective is that it did really help the future of arm wrestling, but it just took 4, 5, 6 years. I mean, we saw the emergence of Russia in the early 90s. That wouldn't have happened if Over the Top hadn't to come out. So it presented the sport to so many countries. It just took time for them to finally get organized and develop some quality athletes and progress the sport. And in the United States, it actually kind of set things back a little bit. Everybody thought that it was going to be the new big explosion. It was going to be the next big thing, and that just wasn't the case. But overall, I think it did definitely help the sport.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm not saying that. Definitely helped the sport. But in the numbers that you would think. Thought it'd be a lot more global and a lot more TV deals and things like that. And probably just didn't, it was all, just like someone's little brother arm wrestling became. So that was interesting. So so with Yukon Jack and Golden Bear and everything, what are your title wins? What are the ones where, you might go to your trophy cabinet or things like that, or you just sit back and reflect and you're like, you know what, when I won such and such, that one was awesome. You know,
Yeah,
that
well,
one had massive class.
they all have meaning in some way. I mean, I can't. People ask me this question all the time. What's your most favorite? What's your most memorable? What's the biggest? And they all have, they're all big in some way. I mean, obviously, Over the Top was huge, but I mean, Golden Bear was just as exciting. I mean, going into Russia in the early '90s when they had guys with machine guns in the lobby.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just so. Yeah, it all was an experience, and yeah, I've got a lot of favorites in their own little special way.
What's the weirdest place that you've ever pulled at? So, like, they've given you appearance fee, or they're like, hey, John, come here, or you're just like, I want to enter this tournament, and then you've turned up and you've just looked at it and gone, what is going on here? This looks ridiculous.
We all got invited to go. We were all a little skeptical to go to a tournament on a small island off the coast of Venezuela, the ABC Islands, the Curacao, back, and I don't know the exact year, probably mid '90s or so. Fairly good prize money for the sport of arm wrestling, but was going to be just a nightmare to get to, and cost some money, of course, because it's such a distance from the States, and but if a lot of the arm wrestlers decided to do it, and I made a vacation out of it. I brought my wife, and my brother came with his wife, and it ended up kind of being a bust. We were worried that there wasn't going to be any money. We all had a fantastic time on the beach and drinking and poo-poo platters, and the actual arm wrestling tournament, for the amount of money they were giving away, you'd think it would have been on some huge lighted stage with cameras and stuff. And we ended up basically arm wrestling on a table on the concrete and kind of the side of the restaurant of this bar that was very dimly lit. You could hardly even see the tables. And looking back, well, even during the time, we just laugh. I'm like, what the hell is going on? We flew all this way, and this was some big deal, and it ended up just fizzling out to some, back alley, back in the kitchen type of table arm wrestling.
Almost like in Bloodsport, you've got to go through all the chicken coops and things like that.
Yeah, but it all worked out. At the end of the day, we all had a great time. It was great weather, and we all got to hang out and drink and eat and have a great time, and all got paid. So I mean, it was
that's the main thing. At least it wasn't a bust then. You still got the dollars in the pocket. Our friend Ryan Bowen with a generous $20 super chat has jumped in. He goes, "You know how to beat Devin better than anyone, John. Devin seems to be behaving differently in his trash talk this time round. Much more defensive and personal. Do you think he is actually deep down fearful of this matchup?" And look, I think everyone wants to chat about that. And when you answer that, we've got another one from Pubnafool. He says, "Love that t-shirt, John. I want to go one step further now. I believe you can beat Devin 6-0. So yeah, what do you think of Devin's behaviour? You're very close with Devin.
No, I don't think Devin's worried in the least. He definitely has a lot to lose, and not a whole lot to gain. 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, I think he thought it was going to be a gimme, and I'm trying as best I can not to have it be a gimme. So I think he's probably feeling hopefully he's feeling a little bit of pressure. But he's still a huge favorite, big favorite. But I'm doing everything I can do. I've done everything I can do. There's been only a handful of times throughout my career where I've actually had this kind of laser focus to be the best I can be going into a match. So, yeah, we'll just have to see where it goes. I can't even really honestly assess if I'm on the same playing field as Devin, but I do know that in the last 6 months, 5, 6 months, and actually the last month and a half, 2 months, I've committed myself to be the best version I could be. So, we'll see where it goes.
In our poll on there in the comments section, 53% have given you the nod in winning, not just winning one round, but winning the matchup in 102 votes. Guys, go to the top of the page and check that out. So, was it easy coming up with the terms and conditions of this match? Because on camera, like, you know, we play it up a bit and, you know, you go back and forth and everything with the rules. But when this match was first brought to your attention, you got someone got you on the blower, said,
Right.
Jonjamin, here we go. You got to pull Devin. Was it real easy to come up with the terms and conditions?
Well,
the fee
yeah,
and
no,
everything?
kind of the way I remember it was we kind of kidded around a little bit on it, just like this, a Zoom video between myself and him when I was first learning to do the Zoom, and he was kidding around and questioning me about my comeback and wanting to know what I was going to do if I did A, B, and C, and I could tell he was fishing and hunting for me to say his name, that I would be coming for him, which I did. I jokingly said, yeah, well, if that happens and I make a comeback and I beat A, B, and C, definitely you'll be someone that I'll be considering are on the list. So it was kind of left at that. And lo and behold, a week or two later, I get a call from Core Sports talking about a possible match for me with Hermes. And my first response or my first thought was, well, Hermes is just way out of my league at this point right now. I don't feel like it would be a very good match for me. It's not something that I would go in feeling like I even could be competitive. So I'm gonna have to say no, thank you for Hermes. But I did bring up Devin's name because I know Devin's a big part of Core Sports, and he was part of the King of the Arms 1. So, and speaking with this gentleman, I think his name was Adam or Don, I said, I have an easier time, better time beating Devin than, than going after Hermes, And it, in all honesty, it wasn't a call out or anything like that. I had no aspirations or confidence that I could actually even be competitive with Devin when I said that. And they must have took it and run with it. And we're on the phone with Devin. Hey, Devin, we got John Brzenk mentioned your name. You up for a super match? And that's when it snowballed into, are you up for it? Well, then I started considering, well, am I up for it? I don't know if I'm up for it. I've been doing okay with the super matches. I think I did only arm wrestle one super match chance with, I think, when this all came about. So I didn't even really know how I was going to do against Dimitri or Paul Lynn, but they proposed it to me, and I thought to myself, well, if I'm gonna make a comeback and things go well, why the hell not? I mean, I know what losing feels like. I mean, it's not like I'm completely against losing. If I always was on the side of just only accepting matches that I knew I could win, I would have never had the opportunity to win the thousands of matches that I've won throughout the years. So when they proposed it, I thought to myself, okay, and almost kind of jokingly, and I thought, okay, well, I don't know what you're going to expect from me, but I'll do my best. And as the weeks went by, and I got a little further into it, and I did well against Dimitri. Well, I squeaked by with Dimitri, and then I got by.
Squeaked by 3-0.
Got by Paul Lynn, and it's just snowballing. My confidence is snowballing to the point where I'm thinking, if you would have asked me 5-6 weeks ago, I would have said, don't save your money. Please do not bet on me. It's the craziest thing. It'd be like betting on Devin with his fight with Thor. I mean, it's just, there's no, it's not even close. But I'm starting to think that I got a chance.
Yeah!
I'm in this game now, and we'll see. I mean, he still might be a step or two ahead, but at least I feel competitive now.
Mate, I tell you what, I'm putting it out there, and I'm a huge NBA fan. I'm a huge basketball fan. Played it before I got into the world of arm wrestling. But if you beat Devin, then this comeback trumps Michael Jordan's second three-peat when he took a couple of years off for baseball. This trumps it. This will put you in the stratosphere. And the one thing I love about this comeback, and you mentioned it earlier, is you do not have much to lose. Because two things will happen. One, you will beat Devin. And then I will say this is way better than the Bulls' second three-peat. Carmelo, you are weak. John Brzenk in the post just dominates. But then if you do lose, it's like, well, it's my fourth match back, and I've been training, just for a little bit and things like that. And I think you are in the perfect position.
Yeah. And I truly I honestly feel like I've done everything I can, and I'm as well prepared as I could be for this match. So, I'm excited.
We'll get to that.
I'm getting excited.
We've got some just some chats to go through. Stephen O'Keefe, thank you very much. He says, nice interview, guys. Thanks for spending the time. Don't thank me, Stephen O'Keefe. I will do this till I go blue in the face. We need to thank the great man John Brzenk for taking some time out. Pubnaful, who is just emptying his pocket at the moment, thank you very much. He says, I believe Zodi Tour Championships were John's biggest achievements. Would you agree with that? Besides coming on this podcast.
Probably the toughest fields I've had to face looking back is probably the European field that Zlati had. I mean, it's hard to compare the depth of good arm wrestlers in any of the other tournaments I've been involved in. And I can't say that completely because WAL's had some pretty deep competition too. But Zlati was always a little tougher, a little bit more exciting to me because of the travel and because of the refs and just they're all drag racers out there, speedsters that aren't really trying to be the strongest arm wrestlers, but they wanted to kick your ass fast. And so it was always, it was just different. It was exciting. And it's very, very rewarding to have competed in that and to have done well, for sure. It's a great promotion too. Igor Mazarenko, does a fantastic job with the backdrop and the music, and he's thought of everything. I mean, so it's always been a really exciting show to be a part of.
Yeah, he's definitely making it look more and more mainstream, like the event to be at. Absolutely. White Wolf has come in. He says, on a foggy, remote island off a famous landmass, top arm wrestlers from around the world assemble to pull for glorious victory. Enter the GOAT. Thank you very much, White Wolf. Ryan Bowen is jumping in again. The big legend. He says, your side pressure looks great. Thank you, Ryan. But we'll pass this question to John. He says, John, your side pressure looks great. Does the shoulder feel solid?
The shoulder is feeling better than it has felt. It's feeling better than it was in 2014-15. But I am reminded that it is still the weak link, especially with pulling with Michael Todd, trying to press when he's trying to, pull across the table, being extended, which with that push, it does. I could push a lot harder if it wasn't for the shoulder giving out. So it's still a weak link, but I'm hoping that it's going to be, strong enough in the directions.
Look at you being coy and conniving and thinking you're a character off Cluedo with the mystery. Yeah. You feel great. You feel great. You feel strong. Look at you. Of course you look solid.
The adrenaline will override any little aches and pains. And the last few super matches I've had, I've actually not felt it during the tournament, but I feel it the next day and the week later. But that's okay. It's all part of it. So
we'll get to the comeback tour in a moment. But what I want to know, let's go on a crystal ball here. We're over there in Dubai, and you get that pin on Devin. You've got it. You've taken the hand, and you've taken the great man down. what is the first thing you say to him?
Oh.
Because I
don't know.
That question?
There's so much. Yeah, I should think about this because I should say something, right? I shouldn't just be so giddy and excited and look around and look for confirmation from somebody that, hey, I just did the impossible, right?
Why I love that is because everyone loves that famous WAL match between you and Devin. And Devin takes the first round, I believe, and then you come back. You got the grey shirt on, and just your banter back and forth is just perfect. So I just wonder, with all this, trash talking, fun banter back and forth, I just want to know, you have just gone bang.
Bang.
First thing you say to him. While you have a think, I'm going to read out a very generous super chat from Robert Gould. Robert Gould, thank you very much. $49.99. I've got a bit of John Brzenk.
Oh, look at there you go.
This one. Thank you very much. He goes, just want to wish John good luck against Devin. I'm rooting for John to crack that wrist back.
I appreciate it, Robert. I don't think that's going to be in the cards for this match. The crack wrist back. I just need to maintain some type of hand position. I think, I'm hoping my side pressure is good enough to knock him off tilt a little bit. And I'm not expecting to get the full flopped hand this go around, but I'm stronger in other areas. So I've got a couple different options. I got a couple different areas that if the first one doesn't work out, I'm hoping that I'm not going to fall into the trap of thinking that I can still win a long, exhausting, run out long match. And I'm gonna tell my wife that, hey, Renee, come over here and yell at me to let it go if you see me struggling for anything longer than 10 seconds or so. Just let it go. But
what would you say? What would you say? Come on, John. We want to know. What would you say? You pin him. You get a pin on him. Are you going to say, told you so?
I guess it's just going to depend on how our press conference goes and how our week together goes for how how my attitude and my feelings are going to be for him. If I want to be, the wise guy or the I told you so guy or
I'll tell you what, we can work out a sponsorship deal while we're here. I will pay a good amount of money to you, Mr. Brzenk, if you say ready bang.
Ready bang. I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to Aussie arm wrestling.
Ready bang. I would just be right. That'll be unreal. Have you got a prediction? Like there's you're going in and you think you're going to win, which every arm wrestler should do. If you're an arm wrestler out there, and if you go into a match and you're like, oh, no, it's good. As long as it's competitive, I'm fine. Get out of the sport. You should be thinking that you're winning every one. Have you got a score for us?
Well, it's all going to depend on, how obviously how the match go. I mean, it's if he's able to stop the first match and I'm a dum-dum and continue to pull to try to win that first match in a compromised position or even some position that's equal, it could go 6-0 for Devin, obviously, for sure. I mean, I think for me to bounce back after a hard-fought match of the first round is going to be the worst-case scenario for me. If I can hit him and blast him and get him badly out of position enough to play his game maybe and maybe not finish him, but just feel like I'm in total control and let's see how long, you'll burn yourself, then it can definitely switch the whole thing around. So, but I'm not envisioning anything. I'm really kind of going in with an open mind and just being confident in remembering and repeating to myself that you've got options. If A doesn't work out, try B and C. Don't just die with A, and see where it goes.
Well, we're down to 50-50. 126 votes in the chat. 50-50 between you and Devin. I love that everyone is getting behind you in this comeback tour. Robert Gould, again, you big legend. He says, hey, John, if you win the match against Devin, I'll give you $1,000 through Venmo. Not that you need any extra motivation. Robert Gould, can you be
I
my
appreciate
channel
it.
sponsor if you're giving away 1,000? I mean, you
Giving
are
that
a
kind of money
1,000
away.
legend to even offer that. But there you go. There's a little nice incentive for you. Bit of sprinkle.
All right. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I don't need that type of incentive or motivation. I'm like I said, I've been completely focused for the last 6-7 weeks, and I'm as ready as I can be. So I'm maybe hitting hard and doing what I can. So
I don't want to start any rumors, but people are saying $200,000 is the appearance fee you charge to get over to Dubai.
Oh, I wish.
No, not at all. No, we won't.
Who are these
talk
people?
money because that's just asking someone what their payday is. But let's backtrack. I mean, you've flogged to death the king of the table stuff. When did this? Oh, I'm very, very intrigued. When did this come back? Like, when did the wheels start turning? Because you're not an idiot. I'm putting it out there. You're a very, particular person. You know if you're feeling good, if you're not feeling good. You're never really going to put yourself in danger. So when was the moment when you just went, one, alrighty, let's get this going, and two, to get that first super match underway?
Oh, you're talking about my comeback, not particularly the Devin match, but just the comeback. The Devin match or the comeback?
No, the comeback.
Okay, so the comeback basically kind of all started with the proposal I got from Pal almost 2 years ago to be a part of the top 8. Then COVID hit, so I started training a little bit for that, kind of off and on, thinking that it was going to come around at some point, which it never did and still hasn't, and it's probably not going to, in my view, for a while yet. So that kind of got me thinking, okay, arm wrestling again. And then they came and gave me a call saying that I was going to pull my first round with David in July, I think. And I laughed and I said, guys, you didn't give me any warning. I didn't know anything, like you were even thinking about starting this thing back up and da-da-da-da-da. But they came back with a better proposal than when we first negotiated for the top 8. So I was like, okay, well, I've been paid a lot less to get my ass kicked. So I'll start at least training again and start arm wrestling on a regular basis to not completely embarrass myself for this particular tournament. Well, that ended up getting canceled. But in the meantime, I was 4 or 5 weeks in arm wrestling, and Chance Shaw asked me a bunch of times earlier that year in April, I think, and even before that in January, if I would consider a super match, which I declined and said, I'm sorry, Chance, but I'm just not arm wrestling anymore. But Travis was going to have me out for kind of an appearance, not to actually arm wrestle anybody on his East Coast tournament. And I thought, I'll give Chance a call. He's asked about having a super match with me a couple times now, and I saw a post on Facebook about somebody asking what they thought would happen between Chance and I. And that's kind of how it all started. I just thought, okay, well, let's start it up and get some matches under my belt. And didn't know what to expect with Chance. He was kind of the big social media, deal at the time, and it got me all excited and nervous because I was not in the greatest shape, but good enough. I thought, well, I can at least make it competitive, and that's here we are, almost 6 months later, 5-6 months later.
You're just smoking fools, just pinning everyone.
That wasn't smoke. That wasn't smoking. That wasn't. Yeah, that was a heart attack almost ready to happen with Chance. I just squeaked by, and I got so excited and nervous. It's funny how you would think after being in the sport as long as I've been in the sport that I wouldn't have gotten all riled up and excited like that, but I definitely got my heart pumping.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, it might not mean anything, but I'm so grateful of this comeback tour. One, I got to commentate John Brzenk live when I do my live watch-alongs, etc. commentate. So I got to commentate a John Brzenk match live and obviously have this chat here. So the comeback tour, I think, is brilliant. Out of the three, who was the strongest?
It's hard to say because I've been I feel like I've gotten a little bit better each and every time.
Yeah, I felt bad for Lindiana Jones. I felt bad for Paul Lynn because everyone loves him. Paul Lynn is a jet. We all love him. But then, 3-1 against Chance, 3-0 against Dimitri, and then suddenly the wings come out, the flames are happening, and
Yeah. So maybe not the strongest, and I don't know how those three guys would match up against each other, but the guy that took me closest to me losing was Dimitri. I mean, I felt like we're just right there. It could go either way. So he really did push me to my limits in his style with that top roll. Could I have made it a little easier 3-4 weeks later when I pulled Paul? Could I have approached a match similar with Dimitri and been just as effective or more effective? I kind of think maybe I could have. I felt like maybe I didn't pull Dimitri as well as I should have, but I think all three of those guys are very, very, very close. But I feel like I've gotten better every time I've gone. I'm getting more comfortable. I'm getting not so worked up and riled up,
and then you've got if I'm reading things right, you've got Pavlo next year and Engen next year.
So I've heard some rumblings, and I need to inquire what happened to, I don't know if it was Haji or his brother that ended up pulling in the WAF and ended up hurting themselves. So I don't know exactly. My next match was supposed to be with Haji Azolov.
Yeah.
In end of January, February.
In Turkey.
I'm not sure if that match is still on. I know the match that Chance was supposed to pull, that guy ended up hurting himself. So I haven't talked with Engen since WAF has happened. So I don't know if things have changed, if he's still going to have the tournament. But yeah, that's the plan, was to pull Haji in February. And then I'm planning to go to Norway in March. And we're just kind of going to do, I don't know how official it's going to be, a super match with Engen. And then...
Oh, it'll be official. He'll be gunning for you. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Well, I need to, depending upon what's going on other than that in my future, I'm not super excited. I possibly might not be super excited to lose 25 pounds.
Yeah.
So I might have to say, hey, Engen, this is, I'm not killing myself to be. I mean, I know it's probably the healthiest thing that I could do to really force myself to push myself to get back down on weight again. But it's not any fun, especially at my age. But yeah, Pablo was the next match in end of April, I think it was. He gave me the date. I think I took a picture of it somewhere, but I haven't really got it locked on in my mind yet exactly what the date is. But a tournament in Kentucky.
Is there an end date? Because like the comeback tour, I don't know if it's gone as good as you thought it would. You know, 1 match, 2 match. Now you're up to match number 4, and you got 5, 6, 7 in the books. Do you have an end date, or is it like you've had 1 loss, you've had a second loss, if that happens? Because you're just pinning everyone at the moment. Do you see an end date, or are you just like, cool? It's a real.
Well, I don't know.
Bit of money.
Yeah, I kind of kidded. Kidded around. I think on my last thing with Neil, the opportunities maybe possible. I mean, it might be the worst thing that could happen to me is if I end up beating Devin, right? I mean, my opportunities of super matches might be pretty slim pickings. I know Devin mentioned in our chat that when he beat me, all his opportunities of super matches kind of went away for many, many years. Nobody wanted to pull him. So
I think this should explode, because if you somehow beat Devin, who was just monstrous at the last King of the Table, I think the bidding wars should start, because Devin has the most loved and loyal fans in the world, but he's also got some of the most hated fans in the world. So I think if you get the win on him, I think that will just do a big bidding war for you and give you the rest time as well.
Yeah, but the field shrinks a lot, right? Everybody will have super high expectations. So the field shrinks down to the big Europeans, Vitali, Hermes, Kadesha, Levon, so
John,
yeah.
Money.
Big, way bigger, easier, better field. If I lose, that's not that's the manager of me thinking and speaking, not the arm wrestler, the competitive arm wrestler.
And people want to know, and when I say people, I mean the Aussie arm wrestler. Where's Bill?
Bill, I don't know where Bill is. Bill gave the sport up 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and never looked back. Never speaks of it. When I've ever gotten together with him, we never even discuss arm wrestling. I don't think he follows it. It's just
had his bit of fun in the sun and realized his brother's way better.
Completely walked away from it. He's not. I don't think he's a fan of it. I don't think he watches or.
How can he not watch? My brother's the greatest ever in what I do, and I'm not going to watch it. Are you kidding? Right, show him this bit. Bill Brzenk. 1, first, you better come on the show. The Aussie Arm Wrestler wants to have a chat with you. And 2, I'm a huge family man. My brothers could be interested in the most boring things in the world, and I will still watch it. Bill, come on, mate. Come on. Let's get it going. Get excited about arm wrestling, you big legend. No, that is hilarious. Now, everyone that comes on the show gets to play arm wrestling's favourite game. It is pin one, lose to one, and get rid of one. So, John, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 names, 3 pullers' names, and because you're the greatest arm wrestler of all time, you get to play this game a few times. And what I do is I give you 3 names, and you have to decide out of the 3 which one you're going to pin, which one you're going to lose to, and which one you would say never arm wrestle again, or even in their prime. I'm relinquishing you from arm wrestling history.
Okay. I think I got it. How do I win this game? I'll
tell you. Alrighty. So I'll give you like a few goes because I've got heaps for you. So the first one, we're going to go back in time. Richard Lupkeys, Cleve Dean, and Scott Norton. So now what you have to say is which one you want to pin.
So my hopes, my dreams, to a fantasy of who I would love to pin. Well, with my past, with those 3 guys, I would love to get a pin on Scott Norton because I only got a chance to pull him a couple times early in my career, and I think I was only weighing 185, 90 pounds the times I've arm wrestled Scott. So I would have loved for Scott to have stuck around to possibly get a pin on Scott. Second part is who I would lose to.
Lose to someone?
Yeah, I never had a problem. I would lose to Cleve.
Lose to Cleve. Oh, so you're not holding a grudge that he got a speaking role and over the top. Oh, you are a man of your word.
And then so Lucas has to just go away, and I have to not face Lucas anymore.
There it is. John Brzenk has just said there is no such thing as Richard Lupkeys anymore. That's it. He's erased him from memory. No, fans love those answers. Certainly went way different than the way I thought it. That's for sure. All right, second round is I'm going to use the people from your comeback tour. Chance Shaw, Dimitri Kachan, and Lindiana Jones, Paul Lynn. So you got to pin one, lose to one, which you haven't done, and you've got to tell one of them they're not arm wrestling anymore.
Okay. To pin one, I want to pin Dimitri. To lose to, I would lose to Paulin. And then Chance, I would say, Chance, stay away from me. Don't come near me anymore.
No more. Chance Shaw.
Yeah, I'm done with Chance.
Our man John has said you're not allowed to arm wrestle anymore. You're gone. Beautiful. And then we'll get into the big dogs, that is for sure. So we'll go Denis Saplenkov, Levan, and then, of course, your king of the table opponent, Devin.
Oh, well.
And I'm talking
I'd be silly not to say that I would love to have a pin on Levan. So pin Levan, lose to Dennis, and then make Devin go away.
That one was exactly how I thought it would go. That one is exactly how I thought I'd go. Alrighty, before we wrap up, because I've probably taken way too much of your time, that is for sure, and I appreciate everyone in the chat. What time is it? I'm going to ask you a whole heap of questions, John, and you're not allowed to think. Quick fire questions, and just answer them. First thing that comes to the mind. Are you ready?
All right, ready.
Do you prefer tournaments or super matches?
Tournaments.
Are you a fan of the King's move?
No.
What's your worst? Yeah, good. Good man. What's your worst injury ever?
Shoulder.
What is your most favourite win?
Saplenkov.
Toughest opponent?
Jerry Caderet.
Wow! Whoa! That certainly caught me off guard. Which version of John is the best? 80s, 90s?
The young version. The 80s.
80s John. Beautiful. What is a perfect storm?
Oof. Brings a lot of elements.
Love it, love it. Do you put tomato sauce in the fridge or the cupboard?
Opened or unopened?
It doesn't matter. It goes in the one place.
No, if it's unopened, it goes in the cupboard. If it's been opened, it goes in the refrigerator.
Oh.
That's a trick question. That's a tricky question. Everybody knows that answer to that.
No way. Pineapple on pizza? Yes or no?
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes, yes. How bad is Sylvester Stallone at arm wrestling?
Probably not as bad as he is as a boxer.
Oh. And last one. If you could pin anyone, past or present, who would it be?
Lexi Voboda.
Again?
During the Pulling John filming.
Oh, perfect answer. Perfect answer. I'll just quickly wrap this up with White Wolf. He says, John, nobody pulls in super matches and tournaments right up to their super matches except you. Why? And more importantly, how?
Oh, you're talking about my match or my tournament pulling at the Utah John Brzenk Cup?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Why would I do that?
The John Brzenk Cup.
Why would I do that?
Best thing ever.
Because I normally just take 2 weeks rest of training hard, arm wrestling hard at practice before a super match, before I try to taper to peak. So I thought it was kind of safe to pull the tournament. And I wasn't really worried about winning or losing. I just thought it would be a good exercise in keeping myself sharp and getting used to having referees square me up and be straight and all that crap. So I was there. So I thought, why the hell not?
I think it's awesome that John Brzenk won the John Brzenk Cup. I'll get you to nominate someone. Who do you think would be a fun guest on the Aussie Arm Wrestler show?
I don't know. Who American puller?
Anyone that can understand this accent, I will get on. You can name a few if you need. I don't want to name the guys because you're going to end up stealing before I get to them. I mean, I've got a bunch of guys that I would like to get on to chat with, but
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what are you inquisitive about? What in the past and history of the sport of arm wrestling are
Oh no, I
you?
just love it all. I'm just an arm wrestling fan, and I just I love it because
Do you go?
sometimes
As far back as the '80s though? Do you know the guys like Johnny Walker and Dave Patton
yes,
and such? Oh, okay. Well, so I didn't know. I don't know how.
yeah.
You said you were 4 to 7 or so at
No, but
watching
no,
over the top. So
bit of a historian. No, I love it. Like
okay,
any sport, I sink my teeth into. I love knowing the history and
all right,
how the sport
right.
progresses and the people and things like that. But that's all right. That's okay. You are the greatest of all time, so you can pass on that question.
I'm gonna pass on that.
I tell you what, I will just take the compliment that you think that if it became between me and the greatest arm wrestler of all time, asking someone to do a podcast, there might be a chance someone chose me over you. So that's the biggest compliment.
Well, maybe we could do, well, you got your audience in Australia. We could do a three-way Zoom live.
Oh, mate,
might be fun.
don't you worry. Anything that you would want to get the Aussie arm wrestler involved, John, I would be greatly appreciated. This short time together, I've greatly appreciated. One last thing before we wrap it up. I need to hear John Brzenk's impersonation of Ready Bang, the greatest catchphrase.
Ready. Ready, bang.
Yeah, there
Not
it is.
so much. I don't have the accent, right?
Guys, we're about 8 days away, depending where you are around the world. We've got the biggest matchup going on. John Brzenk versus Devin Larratt. It is King of the Table 2. If you haven't bought your pay-per-view, what are you doing? You should have already bought it, and you should just be showing off because it's going to be great. I'll be doing a live watch-along. I won't be stealing the pay-per-view, but you guys know what I do. I do a commentary along, and we sit there and have a laugh and a chat. This has just been a dream come true for me as an arm wrestling fan. John, I'm forever grateful for you taking an hour and a half out of your time. I really, really appreciate it. The people in the chat have been more than appreciative of it as well.
I appreciate you having me, Jake, and we could do it again for sure. I mean, this doesn't have to be one-off. We'll keep in touch.
That is recorded. I've got that. That is a verbal contract sucked in, John. I'll be getting it. No, really appreciate it. I definitely won't bother you. But of course, mate. Of course, if you want to come on and just have a beer and a laugh and a chat and things like that, I wish you nothing but the best in Dubai. And I know you just got to go out there and have a bit of fun.
I appreciate it. Where are you from? Are you from Sydney?
Melbourne.
Brisbane? Melbourne. Oh, the hot city.
Yeah, the most lockdown city. But we'll end the stream. Catch you later, guys.